Howdy everyone, welcome back to the Epoch world. Sorry for the delay in episode release. With streaming daily last month, making an episode was not possible. The upside is that over 100 hours of progress has occurred, and there is a ton of content to see. Let's jump right on in to episode 6. Oh, no. One of the goals from last episode was to create a building for achievements. I'm not satisfied with this design, but it works for now. Inside, we crammed a bunch of blocks and items required for different achievements. There's a deck for fishing. Had to add some torches to thaw the ice out with the biome change from last episode. Anyway, this is just the start of this little building. With each new release of Minecraft, more achievements will be added, and the tentative plan is to keep expanding this building down the coastline. So this is definitely just the start of this build. Some general beautification was done. Flowers and grass have been added all around. A fancy fountain and a bunch of gravel paths. Also created a couple platforms for research over here. These became super useful in the next update. Beta 1.7. This update has 3 new additions and some small mechanic changes. Shears have been added so leaves can be acquired, and sheep will now drop multiple wool when sheared, and a single block upon death. TNT now requires flint and steel to ignite and explode. Left click, not right click. Next, the most important part of this update, pistons. 2 types of pistons are now available. Regular pistons move blocks in front of them, and sticky pistons will keep blocks attached during all movement. Well, most of the time. These blocks add tons of content to the game, some intended and some very much unintended. More on the last part later in the episode. The content of this update out of the way, let's take a walk over to our new farms, created with some of the new blocks. I haven't upgraded the tree farm yet. It's on the to-do list. Cactus farm is still the same. Doesn't use any pistons, so no need for upgrades. Here's our sugarcane farm. The addition of pistons, as sugarcane grows, we can now push it into water streams and collect it down below. The way this works is that piston right there is currently in a strange budded, I believe is what it's called, state. And when this sugarcane grows 3 blocks tall, it'll update this piston, causing a redstone signal to update a chunk of these little cells and push all the sugarcane into one location. Of course, it's not going to do it as I'm talking about it, but that's how it works. We also use pistons to control water inside this little brick building. This is our semi-automated wheat farm. You can see some animals have already jumped all over it and messed it all up, but it's not fully grown, but I'll show you how it works. This lever, just hidden underneath up on the ceiling, all of the plants are broken and pushed into the middle. Of course, there's no way, even in current Minecraft, to replant wheat, so I'm going to take all of these seeds and manually replant them. But this is a lot easier than roaming around all of that field and doing it myself. Alright, all planted. Next, we're going to visit an old farm that we actually haven't seen in a very long time. We built it back in alpha when mushrooms were first released, and it wasn't for many releases or updates that eventually mushrooms could spread. So, with pistons, there's a bunch of sources of water behind here, all controlled, and below and above and on the side are sort of, and on the back wall in between the pistons are seed mushrooms that'll help spread into each of these cavities, and eventually, by a flick of the switcher, you see with this mushroom, a couple down this hall, they'll push all to the front. Mushrooms only grow in a dark environment, so that's why this area is so dark, and all of the pressure plates are here to stop mob spawning. But that is our automatic mushroom farm. You can see the beautification also continued down this way. That was all the new builds around the main base. And with the technical stuff done, let's shift to some cosmetic builds. They can be seen in the distance. A giant creeper and a cobblestone block. I love how these look, and many more will be made in the future. The one downfall to these giant builds is that these things required a lot of wool. Currently, passive mobs despawn and can't be bred, so collecting a large amount of wool from sheep is incredibly difficult. So if that's true, where did these resources come from to make these guys? Well, let's just say that's an unintended piston feature that helped a whole lot. Anyway, on to the next cosmetic build. This one was much more difficult, so let's jump into the nether. So this is our new nether hub. Got our main base, got a central pillar that goes all the way up to the top bedrock, and all the way down to the lava level. You can see it's got little feet to support it. We got water that extends from the bedrock all the way down to the lava level. Got our mob farm portal. Our museum area portal. This goes all the way back to spawn. This was a huge pain to make. Ghast were tormenting me for most of the time. You can see I've started to also beautificate this area. We've added grass and trees. Currently waiting for all the grass to spread before I add bone meal and taller grass. This area has a bunch more to go. No trees yet. Not much to show you up there or down below, honestly. It's a normal nether looking area. Currently with the Y value being maximum of 128, I believe, we cannot get or build on top of the nether roof. So we'll have to wait until a later update before we can do that. Anyway, let's go over to the museum area and talk about some of those unintended features that I mentioned previously. Back to where we ended episode 5. Floor 3 is still unfinished, and I don't plan on finishing it until beta 1.9. There is a list of features and content in our future, and the beta Epoch has a lot more left to explore. The major addition to this build is the sandstone support. I'm calling this area the basement to the museum. In line with the warehouse theme, the basement is where trucks unload bulk items, and with the addition of pistons, tons of new redstone contraptions are possible. Let's check out what's been accomplished inside. The side entrance hasn't been decorated, and this build blocks most of the space. But let's get to the important part. This was the main build that we did during our live streaming this past month. Solid block duper 9000. We use this to gather tons of sandstone and all types of solid blocks in beta 1.7_1. This piston bug happened when you created a very quick one tick redstone clock. I'll show you here. Oh, of course I messed it up. There you go. It's been fixed. We're currently in beta 1.73, so this doesn't work. But this used to duplicate the sandstone block, and we were able to gather almost any block you can move. I'm going to shut this off since this is incredibly annoying. The other thing we used, which I believe actually still works, is the falling sand block, or gravel. Duper 9001. Let's see. If I hold down this, yeah, this still works. So using sticky pistons and just a lever and some redstone, you can get unlimited sand for any falling block. Well, currently it's only gravel and sand, but this is an example of how pistons have always been slightly glitchy. We have many more examples behind this build. This starts our transmutation aspect of pistons. I'm not sure how much we're going to go into this. This has something to do with NBT data and how you can manipulate it. There's some things I definitely want to check out, and there's some things I find it to be a little, I don't know, monotonous to do. Let's see if we can do this one on first try, if I remember correctly. This one allows you to merge these two blocks and change NBT for one of these. I forget exactly how it works, but I think if I turn this on, go grab that redstone torch. I think if I place a torch here, yep, magic happens. We are officially alchemists, guys. That was pretty cool. Last time I tried that, it didn't work. Anyway, onto the other machines. We got the piston transmutation machine. This one started working in beta 1.7.3. I'll have to rewatch the video in order to figure out how this one works. So we won't be demonstrating this one. This one I can set up for you, but I don't know if it works. I believe this is location based, so it might just not be possible. Actually, let's try using a wool block instead. Wool has a lot of data values, so usually when you change a data value, it changes to a different color. It's one of the easiest to see that works. Anyway, let's try this one out. This is the liquid block transmutation machine. Supposedly it was working between beta 1.7_1, but I never got it to work. And it's supposed to work until beta or release version 1.2.3. Let's try it. This one is supposed to be location based, so I might just have to try this same build all over the world until I find somewhere that it works? Question mark. But wait. First we need to bud the piston. So this primes this area. And once this redstone dust is updated, which will update this piston, which will happen when water flows into that, in theory, this piston will move. Let's try it. Yep. That's what it's supposed to do. Just doesn't work. That could have been worse. Anyway, let me clean this area up and prime it. There is still lots of stuff to add down here. This wing of the basement has more mining left. Both of these entrances need a little bit more theming. maybe an 18-wheeler truck and trailer on this side, and maybe a dock for a barge or something on this side. I don't know. Lots of ideas for future details. Normally, I would have a project planned for the end of this episode, but that was about 15 minutes of unedited talking, just to cover all the progress from last month. So with the hopes of getting episode 7 out a little bit quicker, let's just show off the loot gathered from all the hours spent hanging out with the solid block duper 9000 and end this episode. First, we got our little nether section. You can see we have not much netherrack, but tons of soul sand. Not much snow, but we can easily get that. Obsidian, can't move obsidian, so the block duper didn't get us any more of that. I only got 8. Glowstone, got a pretty good amount. Same with stone slabs. Stone, we have to cook. We don't have silk touch, so we couldn't have gathered that. Mossy stone, this is only really a decorative block, so I'm not really trying to gather much. Got a decent amount of cobble. Dirt. Sandstone, I like sandstone, so we got a lot of sandstone. Sand is easy because actually I have a secret stockpile, so a little bit of glass, same with stone, same problem. Gravel, clay, bricks, gathered a bunch of wood. Some secret stockpiles up there. And this is the building blocks for our giant cosmetic things we were building. Only have about a chest full of most of them. I think in the next 1 or 2 updates, we'll be able to keep passive creatures. They won't despawn anymore. It'll be a lot easier to collect this. I wasn't too worried about collecting much. Alright, here's the fancy part. Got a ton of coal, a redstone. These are lapis blocks. Got so much lapis. Some iron ore. That's just our monster spawners we collected in infinite development. Some of the bedrock that we collected in beta 1.6. Some iron blocks, diamond blocks, gold ore. Powered rails were actually able to be pushed, so we were able to collect some of them. Same with rails. Pistons. Note blocks do not move, I don't believe, so that didn't work out. Same with dispensers. Forgot to duplicate this, but we got redstone, so it's no big deal. Slime doesn't have a block form, so couldn't do it. I don't think any of these have anything of importance in them. Nothing at least that can turn into a block. You get a ton of sponge. Will help in one of our future adventures where we want to dig all the way down to Y0. Because a lot of our early chunks do not have bedrock in them. Oh, we also have a big stockpile of TNT. I think that's all of the loot that we gathered from our duping. With that, another episode of the Epoch Challenge is completed. Next time, we will continue exploring Minecraft's history, maybe even a short warp to the far lands, or a time travel back to before infinite development. Be sure to subscribe to catch the next release, and hit the like button if you enjoyed this content. Thanks for watching. Peace.